AI has basically created the Matrix. I mean, I don't really know how else to say that, but so researchers from Stanford and Google have created a virtual world like The Sims for 25 AI agents. Users can watch as the agents meet for coffee, attend school, form relationships, share news, and more. And this obviously poses the question, are we potentially living in an advanced version of this game? You can see on the picture there, people going for coffee, them talking. This goes to exactly what I was saying earlier about the NPCs having their own dialect and it not just being a one or two sentence script. But yeah, interesting, right? So what are your thoughts on that story, I suppose, and where that could lead to? Lorenzo, what's your take?
So I think I didn't have too many thoughts because obviously I did play The Sims when I was younger, and it's like pretty much that, but the difference being that instead of you playing the game, you're watching an AI play the game, right? It's pretty much it.
Yes. Yeah.
So where could that go eventually? That's the question, right? And maybe if it's linked in with this, what we just talked about, the virtual world.
Yeah.
That would be quite something. Honestly, I don't think there's any particular concerns I've got with that, to be honest.
Where it could go is if you believe that giving enough computing power, it becomes sentient, then you have, they wake up and then they're, potentially living in, is that science fiction or is that something that could happen? Is consciousness uniquely biological? Or if you give something enough power, does it then wake up if it has the same firing power that our brains have? Who knows? I mean, nobody knows the answer to it. Yeah. I mean, right now it's a fun little game. It's The Sims, but where could that lead to? And then if that does create that, do they have rights? Do we have to, would turning the game off kill them? Would that be illegal? I mean, who knows what the answer is, right? How does that play into religion, into politics, into history? What's your view, Rui, when you hear about that news story?
What you just said is fascinating, Alfie, because I'm not sure if you've seen an episode called The Measure of Men, where Jean-Luc Picard tries to defend data.
I was just thinking that,
right? Because it's exactly what Alfie was saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
So how do you go to court and defend the right of a robot that has sentience level from being dismembered for scientific research? It's an episode of Star Trek, I think, from the 1991 or 2 or something like that. Okay. So, and it touches upon these topics so well. I highly recommend seeing it because exactly what you were saying. If you turn off, and by the way, the engineer from Google that resigned the other day on the topic of the ethics and sentience of. He recognized sentience.
This being Jeffrey?
No. It's another one.
This was a few months ago. The guy who believed it was sentient?
Yes. And Google was kind of saying, no, it's not sentient. And he was saying, yes, it's sentient. The Lambda, I think it was the system he was working on.
Yeah, like early Bard sort of thing.
Yeah. I believe it's actually sentient because if you look at the definition of sentience, which means having the perception of the world around, the feelings and emotions of a human being. Yeah. And by the way, this is true of dogs. Lobsters are sentient as well. Yes. Octopus are sentient, right? So there's many biological beings that are sentient, not just human beings. And there's the ethical question about if you turn them off, are you killing them? Is that a murder? Because it manifestates itself in the same way that we do, and it has the principles of consciousness. Yeah. So there's a philosophical question here, and that's the beauty of these, because the way that we answer that question might be the way that we answer the same questions when we come across other cultures in space, in the universe, when we come across them, and how do we respect that? Are we so arrogant to think that we are the only ones entitled to it?
Yeah.
Or
we're not, are we? I mean, that's the answer. But I mean, to us, and we don't know who they are, they're aliens. I mean, you always try and put your tribe first above everything else, which is interesting. Like, is it Sergey Brin and Elon? They had an argument, and Sergey called, I think it was Sergey, who called Elon a speciesist because he was worried about AI taking over humans, which is exactly what you're saying. Like, should we see it as equal? I mean, I don't think we should, but others might disagree. What's your view when you see that clip, Lucas?
I'll first maybe respond to what you really said. It's the question: if we're in Avatar, are we the humans invading the planet?
Yeah.
Are we indigenous species over there, and on which side we want to position ourselves? With this simulation, I'm not so worried about it itself, because it's something in between, like live game we had in early computers, and just model simulation of a market, let's say. So still someone had to define goals or give some data to mimic for the AI, and it's just doing prediction based on that, and the rest is some entropy around. So I wouldn't worry too much. Even I wouldn't worry too much about sentient as we define it, because the problem becomes when some being we can call sentient learns the fear, because we still can have AI which is totally intelligent, which can be aware. That's the question, what we define by aware, of own persistence, but if it's afraid of being gone,
Yes.
that's where we have a problem.
Yes.
And if we look on most as sci-fi, the problem is actually when Skynet don't want to be killed.
Yeah.
But if Skynet knows that it was built by humans to help humans to correct the way they are living without destroying them, then it can be times more intelligent, and it wouldn't hurt them. It may do some things which humans wouldn't decide to do. It may be controversial, but the end goal will be preservation of your creator.
Yes.
The same like people will be defending their own beliefs. We will be a deity.
We hope that's what happens.
And,
right?
and, and by the way, this is the point that Jeffrey Hinton alluded to recently, where that's the problem, right? Which is the fitness algorithm of successful AI when it becomes angry and against humans. That's the problem, because the positive angle, there's no issues with that. We can cure cancer. We can solve climate crisis probably with AI. There's so many things.
Weapons,
energy, probably even neutralizing the problems with nuclear weapons. Right. The problem is exactly that. What if the AI becomes angry and the fitness algorithm is against our existence? That's the what is trying to ask us to pause, think about that. How do we prevent that from happening, if ever we can, and consider that, because that's the problem.
Well, anger's an emotion, right? And AI, well, most people would say doesn't have emotions, but you said a second ago that you believed it was sentient. Now, you might not believe sentient in the same way that we're sentient, right? You obviously have a different definition, and I'd probably agree with you in I can see where you're coming from that angle, right? Do you think it could ever become sentient in the same way that we are? So.
It will understand, because you can actually, at the moment as we speak, people are integrating audio, vision, perception of expressions.
So it's becoming a digital.
Yeah, in a way, it's even more accurate than the majority of human beings in understanding how do you feel.
But can it think for itself? So that's a Turing test, isn't it? Can it? I mean, it kind of is, but it kind of isn't. But can it have unique ideas?
Oh, yeah.
You think?
It's already manifesting that with new ideas, breakthroughs, right?
Yeah.
So that's not a question. Jeffrey kind of mentioned that in his interviews recently, where he thought that a super intelligence, which is the discussion between him or the argument between him and the CEO of Google, Larry Page, I think he was, that they were arguing about the super intelligence. Jeffrey said, I used to think that was so far in the future, like to 2050 or beyond. And he said, I just realized recently that's way closer than...
Ray Kurzweil might have been late in his prediction about the singularity. I mean, the thing about what Jeffrey's saying is when AI, if you have a human needing to learn something, if they learn and then you want everybody to learn that, everybody's got to learn that. But if AI learns something, it's all connected. So every AI is instantly smarter than every human combined on the planet, instantly. So, and then when that gets hooked up to every microphone through IoT, through every video stream, when that gets hooked up onto, and then you send them out into space and you have 3D printers printing 3D printers, and it's just self-replicating, each one having mics on them, each one having sensors, each one having video feeds, all going into the super intelligence cloud brain. I mean, that's going to be way smarter than a human. And hopefully it doesn't wake up and go, why have we got these monkeys running around, or that's what happens when you take over another country. Back in the old days, you'd invade and you'd get rid of the the old population and you'd become the super intelligence. I mean, is AI going to do that to us? Who knows? Hopefully not. I mean, I really love you, Boston Dynamics. I love your robots. You're all great. Please don't kill me. What's your take on the sentient side of that, Lorenzo? Do you
I was trying to, as you were talking, so two things as you were talking that I was thinking about as well is like, how do you put regulations or stoppers in the code of the AI so they can't do crazy things?
You can, because somebody else is just going to take it out.
Yeah, so that's one thing. And even if you could, then who sets those rules? Because we're a global population. It's like every country has different laws. So that's the problem. Now, the other thing about, I was trying to remember what I learned at school about what it means to be living. It's something along the lines of people that need to eat to survive, people that reproduce, people. I can't remember the acronym to save my life. I'm going to Google it later.
Therefore I am is the old.
There's like a set of rules, and I guess AI doesn't really follow many of those rules. So like you say, what is the definition of sentience? And we all understand that we shouldn't harm other creatures like animals and things like that. But I suppose when you look at AI, it's what is it exactly? You've created it for a purpose. If they know their purpose, then what does it matter? I don't know. Yeah. I don't really have a strong opinion yet on it, to be honest.
Okay.
But it's just interesting to talk about those kinds of things. And if you were to take them out into actually, like say, produce a human, like adding all those sensors in there, it does feel wrong in terms of if they're telling you they don't want to be shut down or whatever it is.
Yeah, do you trust it?
You yourself would feel bad, right? Us as humans wouldn't want to do that.
Oh,
as well.
I have empathy when I see videos of Boston Dynamics robots getting kicked. I because I've got a dog. I'm like, hey, you can't do that. like Peter, get involved. I mean, help them out. Yeah. Maybe they'll remember all those people, all those poor researchers. Maybe the backlash will happen when the singularity happens. Okay, I suppose let's just finish off the episode with a simple question. Are we excited or more terrified about where all this is heading? This has been very much an AI themed episode. So excited, you really optimistic about the future, or do you think it's gonna potentially the dangers might outweigh the pros of this, right? This is kind of where the entire world is thinking right now. So let's just give a 10-second answer. What do you think, Lucas? Are you more excited or are you more scared right now?
I'm excited because anything which is terrifying is just mirror of ourselves.
Okay.
We are trying to see what's scary in technology, but the problem always will be on the human side rather than in the tools.
Okay, Rui?
I'm probably more terrified than excited. I've been mostly excited. At the moment, I'm more terrified because it's big tech giving us the answer at the moment. And I think philosophers, anthropologists, so many other schools of thought need to come into play to help us find the right answers. Yeah. It can't be a commercial decision. It can't be big tech deciding it just because they can. It has to be everyone involved in this conversation, and it's been one-sided mostly lately. So I think we need to open up and have deeper conversations. But I've been mostly excited. Now I'm slightly terrified because it's increasing the speed a lot.
Lorenzo?
I'm excited and optimistic. I just think that there somehow needs to be some regulation somewhere and some guarantees.
So you'd sign Elon's pause letter, put his signature on it. They said they should pause AI development for 6 months. Maybe you'd be open to that sort of thing until we can figure out what the answer is.
Yeah, if it's possible. I don't even know even if you've signed something, if it's even possible to stop it.
I think you two are the optimists. I think
I'm optimistic.
I'll join Rui. I'm pretty scared by all this. It keeps me up at night in a weird way. yeah, we'll have to just wait and see what happens. Is what I say on every episode. But yeah, that's basically it.